Hello, I want to thank you for joining the podcast again. When I say we've been dropping some major gems these past weeks, and it does not stop today. So again, welcome to How to Play the Game of College podcast. I am so excited about my guest tonight. He's a fraternity brother. He's a former professor of mine doing my doctoral degree. And just an overall, just great guy who loves students and really loves working in the profession of higher education. And so without further ado, I want to welcome our guest tonight, Dr. Norfleet. Welcome to the show, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here and glad to share with you all this evening.
Yes. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm super excited about this interview. One thing I do want to highlight, over the past few weeks, we have been interviewing different guests from different types of colleges, number one, and just different type of educational backgrounds. And so Tribeca is where Dr. Norfleet is currently the executive director of institutional research. And a lot of my students probably like, what's that? And so what I'm going to do is let you, Dr. Norfleet, just kind of tell us how you got to Dr. Norfleet. A lot of times when we talk to students or parents, they see us now, but not really on the journey to how we got to where we are now. So I'm going to hand it over
Absolutely. All right, I appreciate that. I started my journey in education back as a student at Tennessee State University. So it started back in 2004. Really didn't know what I wanted to do. Decided I was going to do elementary education. Got almost to the ending of that and had a class where a professor invited someone from the Tennessee Board of Regents to come and share. And then I realized I did not want to do elementary education, and I thought I was stuck because I was in my junior year, and I'm like, I've wasted all this money. But I'll say where there's a will, there's a way. So I met with some advisors and had some mentors in place, and that kind of navigated me to the spot of higher ed. So what happened for me was that I was able to get an internship where it's more like an externship. I actually just volunteered my time. I was like, I want to learn what you guys are doing for the Tennessee Board of Regents. And so if you're not familiar with that, that's a place where they kind of provide some coordination, some governing for the entire state. And so in the higher education capacity, let me say that. So I joined them, and that is really how I started my journey to even continue to go to school beyond my undergraduate days. And there I just began to take on classes, get a master's in education, decided that I liked education so much that I may eventually want to be a professor one day. And so I just kept studying, ended up at Tribeca where I worked, but also got my doctorate. And then opportunities just fell into my lap where I was able to now share with students on all levels, whether they're the traditional student 18 to 22 or an adult student. And so the role that I have now at Tribeca in institutional research and effectiveness for parents and students is just a way for us to evaluate what we're doing at our institutions to make sure it meets the needs of who you are as a student and how we could possibly improve. And so my journey is basically starting undergrad, liking it, and then figuring out I wanted to serve in higher education so that I can give back and to support students that were just like me as well.
Man, Dr. Norfleet, I'm like sitting here listening, like taking notes in my head because you said so much in that question. And that's why I really like, students and parents to really know the journey that it took to get us to our profession now, right? And I like how you said, like you went to college and you were thinking that you wanted to do one thing, but then you kind of, you went alternate route, right? But another thing that you said was the internship component, right? Or internship that kind of allowed you to see some different things. I guess that's our next question. Like when you think about the importance of like internships or externships, for students that might be in college, it seems like it really helped you to like navigate your college career and really determine what you wanted to do. Can you talk about why a student should not leave a college without doing an internship?
Absolutely. So I consider college, and I hope parents or students don't get me wrong, but to be almost like the playground before you get to the real world. And so you have an opportunity to like indulge into your coursework in the academic setting, but also while you're there, you're gaining knowledge from individuals that have served in these work areas in which you want to go to, these work on areas that you want to work in. And so then they can partner you with other externship or internships. And so going to these externships and internships provides you the knowledge so that you can actually put that on your resume to say that I do have experience doing this. And it may not be exactly what the job description may be asking, but you gain some leverage or you were able to see what was going on behind the scenes. And so many times if we look at job descriptions right now, and I think that's what's kind of discouraging to individuals that go to college. You see a job description, they want somebody that has experience. And so if you can gather the opportunity to find you an externship or an internship, you can then take the power. The power is in your court now, that you have learned some skill to put on your resume so that you can move forward in the area in which you want to work. And so I would encourage you, whether it's paid or non-paid, to get the experience, because also while you're at the internship or the externship, you build relationships that will lead to mentoring opportunities or sponsorships as well.
So true. And I like how you said, it's kind of like you get the experience before, and most, like you said, most jobs even ask for experience. It's like, hey, I went to college, I got this degree, there should be experience enough. But a lot of times, jobs want you to have a little bit more than just a college degree. Absolutely. And so in the book, I feel like you read the book, Dr. Norfleet. I talk about the importance of, interning, networking. All of those things are key on top of a college degree, right? It's like icing on the cake. And keep in mind, I always tell students, life is a competition. Jobs, there's several, you got to think about for every one job. There's hundreds of people that are applying. They're probably interviewing 8 to 10. They're going to bring it down to 4. So start thinking now, what's going to get you that job, right? And sometimes having just an internship, and many internships really turn into jobs,
That's true. That is very true.
Yes. And one of the next question, Dr. Norfleet, every week I drop what I call post-secondary minutes on my YouTube channel. And pretty much a few weeks ago, we talked about the different types of institutions. I've heard that you mentioned you went to HBCU, Tennessee State University, but now you work at a private institution, Trevecca. Can you maybe just talk to students who's in that process of determining, hey, do I want to go to HBCU? Do I want to go to a private? Do I want to go to a 2-year? Maybe kind of talk about your experience in both.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I think that my experience at both institutions, one, I served as a student, one, I was a grad student, but also worked at the institution. I think it's all about finding what you may feel is the right fit for you. I think we call that, and you probably talk about this in the book, I've seen the sense of belonging. Where can you find that you belong? And so a lot of the times I encourage students to look for the academic program that you're wanting to do, look at the costs, but also think about those affinity groups that you may be interested in. So whether it's some type of men's group or women's group or some type of sport or some type of musical ensemble, find something that you can make another family out of other than just the academic unit. I think that's key when trying to find the right institution. A lot of these institutions offer the same things. They have their particular specialty areas. Like, for instance, where I was at TSU, they were really focused on the agriculture area. Every institution in Tennessee may not have that access, but they do have other programs that you can kind of gather. And so, but then at Trevecca, it's more of a liberal arts focus. You can look at some of the fine arts or the religion pieces that you may want to delve into. And so really finding the academic unit that you may want to fall into, but then also evaluating how am I going to belong other than academic work? Is there a sport that I want to be involved in? Is there a group that I want to be a part of? Is there a mentoring space that I can look forward to in that particular institution? And I think for parents, it's also important to kind of help your child research those things, because you do know kind of what your child is into and what they find interest in and what they kind of need from a family standpoint and support unit as well. Every institution will have a support unit that kind of fits the mold of that particular child or your children. But it's also key that individuals grow as they are in college. And so they find and identify themselves and find ways that they want to acclimate and move into a different direction. So sometimes it's about taking that risk and just seeing how you can find your fit once you get there as well.
So true, so true. And I love how you said, finding that right fit, right? And, that involves, as we talk about, maybe going on, college tours, college visits, talking to people about their experience at those colleges to really determine, I feel like it's sometimes just a natural feel when you get on the college campus. I know that happened with me at Middle Tennessee State. That was not my first choice. I was actually on the way to another college visit, but randomly stopped by MTSU, and I just felt like it was home, like you just said, right? And I feel like if you like something, you're going to probably stay with it. And that's the goal of, going to college, is to graduate, right? So those things are key. So really, thank you for sharing your insights on the different types of institution. When we look at, I like to call this segment how to play the game, right? We're breaking the code, I like to tell parents and students. And so we look at some key strategies. I know you've been in higher education for a while and are currently at Trevecca. When you look at a student who's doing well, they're progressing, they're having a great college experience, they're going from one semester to the next, they're about to graduate. Can you share maybe one or two strategies that you see that those students are doing that if I'm talking to a high school student, which we are, they can probably like mimic some of those things and for them to be, have the same level of success as well?
Absolutely. And I've taken this kind of from the book, just because I think that the book was real. If you follow
love it,
you are going to really make a key map of success for you. But I think one of the first things I see students that are successful, they have started goal setting. And I think you talk about that in your very first chapter. When you set a goal, your mind is more likely to succeed and to move in the direction of success. And so when I meet with students and I see students come across campus, those people that have set goals for themselves really identify a map and a road of success of how they're going to get to the finish line. And if you have a goal in mind, you strategize and you're confident that I can get there, but there also are going to be these things and obstacles. We call them obstacles. Some of the other things that I notice, another particular thing I notice is that students that remove distractions out of their way. And so I know as a student what gets in my way, what friends I don't need to be around, what study habits I don't need to pick up, if the library is not the place where there's too many folk in there, then I know that's my room. You gotta figure out those distractions. And so we, as I think back as an 18-year-old getting ready to go to college, I knew what my distractions were. I had to also go and figure that out on my own once I was at my own place in my dormitory. And even if you're not in the dorm and you're commuting, you still have those same distractions that may be obstacles for you. But if you can goal set and remove your distractions and follow this book, that's going to help you out for sure. I really think that students that set those goals and they remove the distractions, they know how to get to the finish line, which is to graduate. And they're not caught up in just having that 4.0. They want to meet the requirements to get the degree because at the end of the day, you want the paper with your name.
So true, man. Dr. Norfleet, I feel like I just need to take you on a road to be everywhere because you're pulling some. I'm even like, man, did I say that in the book? I did. And so make sure, again, it's Dr. Norfleet is just get a copy of that book. Again, that's written out of, I like to say, not hard work, but really hard, HEART work. And so, again, I love how people like yourself, Dr. Norfleet, are really breaking down those things to really help our students when they get to college. And as you just mentioned, we look at, and I like one thing just to kind of follow up real quick when you just mentioned distractions. I always say my motto for life is do what you have to do so later you can do what you want to do. And so there are some things that, I have to wake up. Dr. Norfleet, we're friends outside of the podcast. We work out every morning. I think every morning we want to get up at 5 o'clock. No, right. But, I think when you're consistent over a few things just kind of just fall in line. And so if you're just consistent over a few things, I may be taking folks to church right here, but there are things that would come to you. So consistency is another key when we talk about, really navigating the college scene. I want to ask you about the importance of mentorship, Dr. Norfleet. Again, I think a huge part of really just of life, not even just looking at college, is really getting people in your corner that we call mentors. Do you mind maybe talking about one that have maybe helped you to navigate just college, but also just through life and why mentorship, are really, really important to students?
Absolutely. So I think my first real instance and knowledge of what I realized a mentor was when I was in college. And after thinking about it, I had mentors in high school and in middle school from the community. But while in college, I ran into a professor that served as a mentor and provided me real guidance and told me the real honest truth on things that I were doing, things that were not wise, and how decisions that I was trying to make were not going to help me get to the finish line. And so a lot of the times we don't want to listen to family members, especially parents, when they're trying to tell us things that come across the same things that a mentor is telling you. But when you hear them from a mentor that's an outside source that's going to be truthful to you, just like the real world, because I think you mentioned earlier that the real world is out there. It's a competition. That's over 100 people applying for the same job that you're going to apply for. You need a mentor to be in place to kind of help you guide and navigate that area. And the interesting thing is that most times I think you should find a mentor that's going down a similar path or that has went down a similar path to what you want to go down. because they've been there, so they know the hiccups and the bumps in the road that will come up. The second instance where I do really remember a mentor was my first internship. And to this day, this particular higher ed administrator, I can call up any given day and ask questions to. They will provide me sound advice and say, you need to go back to the drawing board because you're not thinking that through. I mean, they gave me raw feedback on presentations that I were given. And so I think just the real honest truth from a mentor is helpful. And don't get me wrong, it can be hurtful because you can make you doing the best job that you're doing out there. But they see more potential in you.
Yes.
And so I think it drives you to work even harder. And I remember days where my parents probably told me the same thing that my mentors were telling me, but I would never want to listen to my parents. They don't know it. I don't understand. Yeah. And so I think you find value as a student to find you a mentor. I think you can have different types of mentors. And I don't think you have to limit yourself to one, but really find people that can be truthful to you and that you understand that they're not there to hurt you, but they're there to raise you up and to elevate you to the full potential that they see that you have.
Man. Yes. So important. You just really said some great things there. And like you said, and I love how, I've been interviewing folks for weeks now. And hopefully, again, my audience have been really watching those videos, but it's so good because you all are really saying the same thing and you have probably not even heard some of the interviews. But one of the things that I think about Dr. Tavi Small from UTK, he mentioned a hidden agenda. And he said a lot of times your mentor has the hidden agenda. So a lot of times we're trying to work hard and figure things out alone. When if you have a mentor, a lot of times you're just asking us questions and they can tell you what they've been through and kind of help you to avoid some of those same pitfalls. It's so key in navigating life. So again, thank you for reiterating that on this podcast this evening. The last question, can you believe it? We're having so much fun. It's going fast. The last question is the value of college, right? 20 class of 23, class of 24. A lot of times, they're confronted with opportunities to say, hey, you don't need college. Come work for us. You can make $30 an hour at Amazon or, the local, grocery store, whatever. And, a lot of times to students, that could be enticing, right? Oh, I'm going to make $30 an hour. I can work some overtime. I can get even more money. I'm good. What do you say to that student who might be on the line or parents who just maybe say, well, hey, you do need to just go work and get a job and college is not worth the investment? What would you say to those particular students and parents?
Absolutely. I think that the value of college should never go underestimated. There are many as you just stated, quick opportunities where you can go straight and get a paycheck every 2 weeks or monthly. But I think one of the things that you can take from college, whether it's a technical college, community college, or university, are skills that will last you a lifetime, that will teach you, college will not only also just teach you the academic skill, but it's about building community too. And so a lot of the times individuals go straight into the workforce. And as we stated earlier, it's the real world out there in the workforce, whether you're 18 or you're 35 or you're 45 or you're 55, there are real world issues that are out there. But when you take the time to go to college, you begin to build community, which you also build life skills. And so then you're able to navigate that space where you started as a freshman, you've seen yourself mature up, you've been able to learn not only the academic side, but what life is like as an adult, because as an 18-year-old, you're turned loose into the world. And that may work for certain people, but I really believe that the value of college goes beyond just the academic setting, and it builds your personality, your people skills, your lifelong skills. And even when you can, some people now get the CTE credits and they have enough hours in high school where they can be HVAC technicians or plumbers or beauticians, or always remember that going back to get that college degree, starting that college degree is not an issue because you're also building knowledge. That way, if you want to major in business, that you can maybe run your own HVAC company one day versus just being the person that's providing the service. And so think about those things that may fall in place when you want to start a family, or if an injury happens, that college can then prepare you for a longevity career and success that can be not just given just straight from the workforce. So.
Man, you said some things right there. I always tell students, college is just not about only the classroom. Like you said, I learned so much by being in college, about being around different people, study abroad, being in a fraternity where even though a lot of times the fraternity folks look like you, it's a very diverse group of individuals that you're working with to pull off events, activities, or whatever the case may be. And it really helped develop me for, as we say, the real world. And so as you're stating, you know, really think about the decision to, you know, sometimes delayed gratification. It's better. You're going to get more at the end.
Absolutely.
And so again, you're hearing $30 right now and it sounds great, right? But hey, I could go to college, I can get the necessary skills, I can network, I can intern, and then boom, I get a degree that's going to really last me more over a lifetime than just if I just went to work at the local corner store, if that makes sense.
Dr.
Norfleet, you said some great information today. Again, parents and students, this train is rolling. And so again, I hope that you have subscribed. Make sure that you share this video, and more importantly, comment. We want to see those comments. I know Dr. Norfleet is going to check his video and he's going to answer them personally. And so again, make sure that you're sharing the knowledge. Again, it's free. Only thing you have to do is subscribe. Every Wednesday, you will get a brand new interview. So again, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Again, thank you, Dr. Norfleet. And again, we will see you next Wednesday, the same time, same place. Thank you. See you soon.